Hello and welcome to another last minute racing video. Today we have something a little bit more exciting in the workshop, something a little bit more different. What we have, and you can probably see behind me, is the Team Mid-Strength GQ Patrol Comp Truck. It's going to be competing in Tuff Truck's Challenge this year. It's an incredible vehicle. What we're going to do is we're going to take you for a bit of a look around the vehicle in a second. But first, basically, it came to the Last Minute Racing stables for a Haltech ECU install. So it used to have the standard ECU with a memcal and tune, but it's never quite run right. It fouls plugs, etc., etc., etc. So what we've gone through and done, spoken with the owner, decided on a route, and that particular route was a Haltech plug-in GM Sport ECU. Which is a fantastic bit of kit. It literally plugs into the factory loom and comes with a base mat ready to go. As I'm going to show you, there's a few reasons why that didn't work too well in this particular car, but we've sorted those issues out. Unfortunately, we've also had a fair few other issues which have been highlighted whilst it's been on the dyno, which is great. Obviously, it means I don't have to go through those teething issues in competition. So let's go and have a look at it. Alright, so this is the Team Mid-Strength GQ. As you can see, the front is probably what I'd call a bobtail. It's basically the standard GQ front that's been narrowed. Obviously gives it a lot more frontal clearance. And lying underneath the bonnet, and the reason why we're putting the Haltech in, is a Holden or Aussie 5 litre as they're known affectionately. This particular one is a stroker, so it's a 355 stroker, I believe. Look, good engines. They sound awesome. They don't produce as much power as something like an LS, but for what these things do, they're perfect and they're cheap. So, few issues that we've been having on the dyno. First one was, and you can see now that it's all, see if I can get down here for you. They're all the heat shield all over all these wires in here, starter motor wires, alternator wires. So they melted when I first started tuning it, so we fixed all that up. Also, the keen-eyed of you may notice that down there is no alternator, and that's because, just to add some problems, the alternator failed. I was watching the voltage and all of a sudden it was 12 volts, and I thought, nah, it's strange. And then it just kept getting lower and lower and lower, so obviously we've deduced the alternator's not working. So we're going to replace that now. Big Pro Fender coilovers. Obviously all custom mounted. Rob's done most of the work himself, which is pretty cool. Obviously remote reservoir all the way down. It runs 40-inch trapdoors. That's what it'll be running in competition. On the dyno, it has even cooler tyres on the back. Look at that. How ridiculous does that look? I said he should turn up to Tuff Trucks like that. I don't know what sort of reception he'll get. Obviously full tubular rear end, a couple of batteries, obviously your winch for winching up your rear diff. It's all GQ running gear, but obviously stronger axles, lockers, etc, etc. Again, Pro Fender coilovers, remounted radiator. Inside, obviously being a comp truck, nothing special, stripped down. Obviously I've got my tuning equipment in here at the moment. We actually did a clutch on this car as well, hence why there's no knobs on the gear sticks or anything like that. But yeah, overall, I mean, it's hard to tell with the bonnet up and everything on the dyno, but it's a really, really good looking car. Very menacing, and it sounds incredible when it's working. So plan is we'll replace the alternator, and hopefully I can get straight back into tuning it. I've only done cold start and idle, and mind you, I'm pretty happy with that considering it's got a pretty lumpy cam in it. It's behaving okay so far. We're having a bit of... Oh, that's the other issue we had. The timing marks on the balancer have absolutely no correlation to the actual timing of the engine. So we had to do a pretty sort of what I'm going to call a ghetto TDC mod, which has gotten us in the ballpark. Once it's tuned, we'll do it all properly, remark the balancer, and scale the tune accordingly. So now I just got to wait for our express mail alternator. That'll be here shortly, and we'll get back into it. What this is a puddle of water, and what that's from is the car. So we were getting into the harder tune. We finally fixed our alternator issues 4 alternators later. Long story short, the alternator wasn't getting excited. That's how I'm going to explain it. The problem we just encountered at 4,000 RPM on the dyno was that coolant connection just there blew off under the pressure. Obviously that runs underneath the car, down and around to the rear-mounted radiator, which also has a Davies Craig water pump on it. So yeah, it just blew a coolant hose. You can see it running down the chassis rail there. What it did do is cover the entire shed in coolant, so all of my dyno gear all got a bit wet, but it all seems to still work, so that's good. So now we've just gone to just have a quick lunch break, have some food, get some more fuel into the thing, and then I've just got some ignition timing tuning to go, as well as wide open throttle. Then we're done finally, and hopefully we don't come across any other issues.